After Ahsoka, I've been reflecting on Star Wars, thinking about it, staring into the metaphorical sunset, if you will, and I miss it. This video will be demonetized because music, I don't care. In order for me to get my thoughts across properly, you need to hear Star Wars. You need to see it. It's not like I make money here anyway. Outside of Luke's return and the Mandalorian's goodbye to Grogu in Season 2 of The Mandalorian, and outside of Kino Loy's speech, Luthen's speech, and Aunt Petunia's speech in Andor, Disney cannot capture the heart, the soul, and the purpose of Star Wars in anything they release. Anything. And today, instead of feeling sad, instead of ranting about what Star Wars could be, and feeling the shame and the sorrow that we will never see it shine brightly again, I thought, hey, forget all that. Let's just celebrate it and look back at my favorite moment.
If you will not turn to the dark side, then perhaps she will. Chills, right there. I could talk to days about this entire sequence. From the moment Luke surrenders to Vader's unmasking, I could, all day. But what we just watched is probably to me the most important part, and the part I love so dearly. That short sequence, to me, is the perfect culmination of the original trilogy, all the themes, all the ideas, and that sequence is why Star Wars, the original trilogy, stands the test of time. Return of the Jedi was always my favorite as a kid. And that's important as a kid. In my opinion, if this scene was not executed as well as it was, well then Return of the Jedi would just be another disappointing sequel. It would. I love the movie, but it has flaws, many of which have been addressed publicly. We all know it. It's the least well received of the original trilogy by a mile. Return of the Jedi is where Star Wars truly, it was at a fork in the road. Continue with the tone and the seriousness set up by Empire Strikes Back, or go this way, more family friendly, and they went this way. They decided to go down the path to pander to children and make it very safe, family friendly entertainment. Until Revenge of the Sith for some reason. Hot take. Star Wars, A New Hope, The Empire Strikes Back, they're not kids' movies.
This is a film about space wizards intended for children.
Star Wars appealed to everybody, A New Hope, because it blasted onto the scene. It had special effects no one had ever seen before. Everybody latched onto it. Think about it, special effects, music, sound effects, worlds, characters, all so fresh, so new, and so awesome. The plot is simple, it's direct, and it has a lot of violence. And themes and storytelling techniques that hint to a larger universe. There is a reason it made the money it made and changed the industry. The Empire Strikes Back appealed to many because it didn't just appeal to the lowest common denominator. Star Wars wasn't a big success and George Lucas said, well, I'll just do that again and bigger. No, they told a bigger, more expansive, more mature story. And to most kids, they'd probably call this movie boring. I did when I was a kid. I will admit that. Because it has a slower pace and themes not all children are going to understand. Here's a list of things kids might be confused by in The Empire Strikes Back. Why are the heroes split up? Who is Yoda? Why does he talk backwards? The Millennium Falcon doesn't work? Bounty Hunter? Incineration? Carbonite? What's the deal with this cave? Why is Luke Darth Vader? That's his father? Why can Leia sense Luke? Why is Vader bald? Who is this fucking guy? That's it? Where's the ending? Don't tell me it's a kid's movie. I don't believe it for a second. It pisses me off to no end. When there are bad movies in this franchise, all the idiots with no idea about movies come out of the woodworks. Oh, it's just a movie made for kids. Oh. Shut your mouth. Yes, George Lucas might have said it was made for 10-year-old boys, referring to his first movie.
And I'm not supposed to say this, and I wasn't supposed to say it then, but, you know, it's a film for 12-year-olds.
Guess what? George Lucas didn't direct The Empire Strikes Back. You want proof of that? It's a good movie. George Lucas can make good movies, but you know what I mean. It's a prequel joke. I'm getting distracted. Let's go back to Return of the Jedi. Return of the Jedi is a kid's movie, for many reasons. It falls back on gags, something Irving Kershner, who directed Empire Strikes Back, was specifically against.
Irvin Kershner had never directed a blockbuster, but emphasis on character was just what this middle chapter needed.
The story line was much more difficult. I felt I needed humor in the picture, and yet I couldn't have gags.
Characters outside of Luke and Vader have no character arcs, and there is a serious lack of tension going into the third act through the Han and Leia plotline. There's nothing there. It's very, very mellow, and the Ewoks do not help. In fact, this is all very familiar. Boring plot, weird little creatures, no stakes. Ahsoka? I will never not get tired of taking the piss out of Ahsoka. Star Wars is saved! Anakin turned up, I'm gonna come! Shut up if you're one of those people. Come on, we're better than that. Back to my point. The reason this is my favorite movie scene, the climactic scene with Luke and Vader, is because it's the only time, in my opinion, in Return of the Jedi, that tone, the sense of seriousness, urgency from Empire Strikes Back, from A New Hope, comes into play. And disclaimer, don't take everything I say as a statement or a fact. This is my opinion. Use your own critical thought and have your own opinions, okay? I don't want to be attacked if I've missed another instance of the tone being serious in Return of the Jedi. So why is this scene my favorite? Well, let's go into it. Number one, the tone, like we've been talking about. This is very, very important. It defines a movie, tone does. It's the feeling you get. And the feeling of this scene and the entire sequence is one of hopelessness, dread, a tinge of hope in that hopelessness, and the sense of finality. It feels like shit's about to go down, and it does. There is not a single joke, no smiling in this sequence. The characters show their feelings through their actions and not through dialogue. Themes, fatherhood, good versus evil, love, hate, it's all there. Everything that has been set up previously comes back to play in this sequence and is shown through the visuals. Luke's face split down the middle, half in light, half in darkness. Get it? Vader is lost, searching within the darkness below for his son. His literal boss, the embodiment of evil, is staged above him during this fight. I've never seen anyone bring this up as good metaphor fucking storytelling. Darth Vader and Luke are beneath the Emperor during this sequence, in the darkness. Vader and Luke lost in the darkness together, finding each other, coming out into the light to be redeemed. How's that for a metaphor Oh, I fucking nailed English in high school, by the way. It's funny, I try to follow these damn scripts I write for myself and they always go out the fucking window. Love is expressed through Luke's fear of losing Leia from his side. And hate is expressed through Luke's rage to lose Leia to the darkness. Father and son collide. The same hand Vader took from Luke is now taken by Luke himself. Luke realizes that if he follows through with anger now, he will become his father in nature, lost to darkness. Luke throws away the weapon, standing up to ultimate evil, and the white inside of his uniform reveals itself, showing Luke was always good. He would never try to kill his nephew in 20 years for no reason. And finally, redemption, decades in the making. Darth Vader, the instrument of evil and destruction himself, was the only thing that could stop evil and destruction and brings balance. Stakes, it's the culmination of the trilogy. Not only are the stakes higher for the characters involved, but it's very meta for the audience as well. 2 movies, near perfection, preceded this one. Everyone would have been high to make sure this movie was exactly what it needed to be. But let's talk about the stakes in the film. The universe could be taken over completely by the Empire. Darth Vader might not be redeemed. Luke could turn evil. Han and Leia could both die. It doesn't get much more epic than that. From start to finish, this trilogy sets up its stakes, its world, its characters in less than 6 hours. A New Hope is 2 hours. The Empire Strikes Back is 2 hours. Return of the Jedi is the longest one. Less than 6 hours. And this is the height of emotion we feel. Oh, internet, please tell me, how long was Ahsoka? Wow, really? That long? Longer than the original trilogy? And I felt nothing? Oh, I'm so mean to Ahsoka, but it deserves it. Music, come on. Apart from Binary Sunset, this theme, the theme that plays during this sequence is my favorite in the Star Wars franchise, which is saying a lot because the Star Wars franchise has dozens of fantastic tracks. Seriously, John Williams, any composer would be a legend, would die a legend, having one of these tracks to their name. John Williams comes and does it, and then has another 50 years worth of fantastic scores after that. This piece, it's very melancholic, has the chorus from the human choir, it's dark, it's not overstated, it's mellow in a way. It's right there. It's right there with you. It doesn't tell you how to feel, but it brings up your emotions just enough. It heightens it, turns it up to 10 from start to finish in this sequence. It's perfect. This is a perfect sequence. And the setting is dark, it's dimly lit, it's not overproduced crap like you would see nowadays. This is where the Emperor comes to sit in his big chair. He sits here, he looks out his big window. It makes sense for the characters to be here at this time. They're on his terms. They're fighting in the Emperor's office, essentially. It's mundane. That's perfect. Because it's not about, look where we're fighting. There is no big spacewalk. We're not fighting on the set of a collapsed bridge. There's no smoke. There's no fire. There's no anything. It's not about what's around you. It's about what's here between Luke, between Vader. 2 sets of eyes locked in battle. That's all you need. All the emotion is there. And one of those sets of eyes is behind a mask the whole time. That tells you how good the visual filmmaking is. This all culminates in a little thing I like to call emotion. And it's something we just do not see on this scale anymore. I adore this scene. It's perfect. It's the culmination of the trilogy. It puts the stamp on the original Star Wars trilogy and let you walk out of the cinema saying, yes. Even though the rest of the film has many, many flaws, it doesn't matter. What sticks in your mind when you finish a movie is how you feel leaving the cinema, turning the remote off, the TV off. It's the ending. Return of the Jedi has flaws, but the ending is so satisfying, and it is all wrapped up in this scene, this one perfect scene. But hey, I'm a fair reviewer, so let's go over some of the flaws in this sequence, just to make you happy. Fight choreography is not as fluid as it could be. But hey, this is 40 years ago, and considering where we are now with Star Wars duels, we've regressed. So well done, this is not a flaw anymore. Thank you, Ahsoka. Darth Vader seemingly gives up too easy when Luke goes on the offensive. I don't know. I've always chalked it up to Darth Vader surrendering to his fate now. He's tired, he's had enough. He gives up, he lets Luke win almost. That's how I've always sort of viewed it, but it could be a nitpick to say, oh well, just have Darth Vader fall over. And you can see the guardrail is pre-cut during this sequence, but you know, I don't know. They probably never accounted for Blu-rays 40 years ago. Star Wars doesn't need to be over-the-top set pieces. It doesn't need to be whales. It doesn't need to be ghosts, ghouls, witches, zombies, whatever the fuck this thing is. It doesn't need to be that. Star Wars, like any good story worth remembering, needs a story worth remembering. I don't think anybody remembers Boba Fett's struggle with local traffic on Tatooine. I don't think anybody remembers Reva. I don't think anybody remembers Bo-Katan's plight to unite 12 Mandalorians either. People will remember the story of a son who saved a father he never knew. People will remember the story of Luke Skywalker, the hero he was, the undeniably good, uncorruptible Luke Skywalker. A farm boy becomes a legend. It could have been anybody. It didn't need to be spelled out. The best Star Wars scene occurred 40 years ago. That's before the AIDS virus became public knowledge. AIDS! Thanks a lot, AIDS.